fight, fight, fight. Sorry. That's sort of a theme about today's episode because I want to talk about the Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent, and his tendency to get in like significant verbal altercations with other members of Donald Trump's cabinet. You would not think that Scott Bessent, who's this sort of soft-spoken, behind-the-scenes operator, would be the tough guy, but apparently he is the tough guy. So I just want to read, this is from Rachel Bade, great reporter at Politico. This is it. There was a dinner last week in Washington to sort of inaugurate this place called the Executive Branch, which is a club in Georgetown for the very, very, very rich and very pro-Trump. It's like $500,000 to be a member of this club. So there's 30 plus guests. There's Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy, Howard Lutnick, the Commerce Secretary, Doug Burgum, Secretary of the Interior, Brooke Rollins, Ag Secretary, and Bessent. So in the cocktail hour, before they've sat down, Bessent finds Bill Pulte, who is a housing official, also very wealthy. His family is a home building family. He finds him and he confronts Bill Pulte about apparently the bad-mouthing Pulte has been doing of Bessent. I'm going to sanitize this slightly, but here's what Bessent says. Why the F are you talking to the president about me? F you. I'm going to punch you in your effing face. Rachel, the reporter at Politico, says, Pulte appeared stunned, and the tense encounter prompted club co-owner and financier Omid Malik to intervene. But Bessent wasn't having it. He sought to get him kicked out. It's either me or him, Bessent said to Malik. You tell me who's getting the F out of here, or we could go outside. To do what? Asked Pulte. To talk? No, Bessent replied. I'm going to effing beat your ass. What? This is the Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent. Now, if you don't know Scott Bessent, he's a guy who honestly made his money, at least some of his money, he's very, very wealthy, but made some of his money working for George Soros. Yes, George Soros, the scapegoat of the right. But yeah, that's where Bessent came up in the political world. And then he started his own thing, and then he became Treasury Secretary. Now, as I said, this is not the first time Bessent has gotten into it with another Trump administration official. I'm going to tell you about the other time, even more high-profile fight, and also why I actually think all of this helps Scott Bessent right after I ask you to do this. I want you to subscribe to this channel, and I'm going to tell you, I'm going to give you two words for why I think you subscribe. One, independent. I'm independent from big media, no corporate media ownership, just me bringing news to you. I'm also independent from the two political parties. I'm not a Democrat. I'm not a Republican. I'm a reporter and an analyst. I'll always tell you what I think. Number two, authentic. I'm not in the fan service business. I'm not going to tell you what you want to hear because I know that'll make you a subscriber. I'm in the honesty and authenticity business. I'm going to tell you what I think is going on in American politics, whether you like it, whether you want to hear it or not. You're going to agree with me some of the time. You're not going to agree with me some of the time. That's a good thing. So I hope you subscribe. Okay, so last week, Bessent gets into it with Bill Pulte, this federal housing authority guy. But this is not, as I said, the first time he's gotten into it. So this spring, late April, Elon Musk and Scott Bessent got into as Axios described it, a heated shouting match in earshot of President Trump over who should head the Internal Revenue Service. The clash with both men in each other's face. So they got up in each other's grill. Apparently it was not physical, but they were shouting. One witness said, quote, "It was quite a scene. It was loud. And I mean loud." The White House basically acknowledged that this happened. They said disagreements are a normal part of any healthy policy process. And ultimately, everyone knows they serve at the pleasure of President Trump. So look, Bessent sort of won that one in that he's still there, and Elon Musk, as we know, is no longer a part of this administration. But in general, you might think that Bessent getting in people's faces and telling them to take it outside and he's going to effing punch you in the face, blah, 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 might be a problem. But in this administration, the sort of WWE administration of Donald Trump, I actually think it's probably a pretty good thing for Donald Trump and for Scott Bessent's appeal to Donald Trump. Remember, Donald Trump is a guy, right? He's creating a reality TV show. People forget this about The Apprentice. Yes, Donald Trump was the star of The Apprentice, but he was also one of the executive producers. So he was involved in the creation and development of The Apprentice. That is a show about pitting people against one another in a team format, and then those people nominating people they think should be fired, and then Donald Trump picking one of them to be fired. And I watched that show, as did millions of other Americans. And I can tell you that multiple times in the boardroom, which is where the couple people who were nominated to be eliminated would always sit down with Trump before he decided who was going to be fired, he would sometimes change his mind openly if one of the two people were willing to badmouth the other guy or badmouth their teammates or look like they were fighting, right? Like being willing to fight is something, being tough is something that Donald Trump really, really values. He always sort of has. I mean, I actually think part of the reason he likes Marco Rubio now is because Rubio went after him in the 2016 campaign. He has said, I didn't think Marco Rubio was willing to be that tough. He kind of admires people willing to take swings physically and, literally and figuratively. So I actually think that this will accrue to Scott Bessent's benefit. If I had to guess who told Rachel Bate at Political about this, it would be someone in Scott Bessent's world, because I think they realize that Bessent sort of manning up to Pulte is a thing that will appeal to Donald Trump. Like, he believes so strongly, he's willing to show him to his face. He doesn't like him bad-mouthing people. Trump loves that, right? And look, if I had to declare the two biggest winners of the first 8 months of the Trump administration internally, it would be Marco Rubio, who is now not only the Secretary of State, but also the National Security Advisor, and Scott Bessent. Scott Bessent's influence as Treasury Secretary is massive. First of all, remember, there was a competition between Bessent and Howard Lutnick to get the Treasury Secretary job. Bessent won that one. Lutnick wound up at the Commerce job, which is less high profile. So I think that Scott Bessent is showing that he knows how to play the inside game here. He gets how this works. And past administrations, maybe getting in a big fight, at a exclusive club in Georgetown with another member of the administration, maybe that would redound against you in past administrations. Not the case in this administration at all. I think Donald Trump likes it. I think Scott Bessent knows Donald Trump likes it. I think the Bessent people probably leaked this. And that is a huge piece of why we have this story and why Scott Bessent has risen in Donald Trump's estimation. All right, that's it for me today. As always, a couple things you can do. As I said before, you can subscribe, and I hope you do. You can also like and comment on this video. It helps me get my content out to people via the YouTube algorithm that aren't already subscribers. Last thing, tell a friend, tell an acquaintance, tell somebody in your book club about what I'm doing here, why you think it's important, and why they should subscribe heading into 2026, which is going to be a humdinger of an election. I'm making videos every single day for free. Hit that subscribe button and take care.